The politics of the Oscars. Today we have film analyst Judita DaSilva, who attended the Oscars on Sunday night. We have her on here on Brand Video Pro, and we're going to talk about some of the business behind the Oscars, some of the politics, and some of the new opportunities that may arise. So stay tuned for that. Before I get into it, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all the above. I'm your host, Kenim, and let's get right into the video. Judita, tell me, how were the Oscars?
They were hectic. They were good. It was interesting because as far as organization goes, the tent itself, where the red champagne carpet was, that carpet was white. I don't know who they're trying to kid, but the champagne carpet, it was good, because I remember years before it gets cold in that thing, because it's just basically a marquee, a general marquee. This one, they probably built it to be weather resistant. So credits to them. But the actual show itself, it seemed like everyone who was available and not shooting some major film showed up, because they had a massive roster of celebrity presenters. It's the first time I've seen The Rock show up at the Oscars. I was like, is this really your scene? Vanessa Hudgens, they went through the entire grocery list of celebrities. And so
why do you think? Because I noticed that too. Rihanna was there. Obviously, Rihanna was nominated, or her song was nominated. Tems was there. It was just such a great group of, it was a starstruck event, which is not typical for the Oscars anymore. So what do you think it was about? Why do you think that was the case? Is it them sort of making up for their low ratings? Is it because of Will Smith, making up for Will Smith? What do you think it is?
I think they realize, just like the Grammys is struggling, American Music Awards is struggling, Billboard is struggling, they've got to pander to people who have big social media followings. So even if you look at, even the guest list at the Vanity Fair party confused the hell out of me, because I remember that being such an elitist event. But like the Met Gala, like this, everyone realizes that if you get someone big on social media, their fans want to see what they're doing. And if they're active like a Jodie Turner-Smith or whoever, they will be going live from the minute they're getting dressed to when they get there. So by the time they switch off their phones, which they have to do at the Oscars, people might then tune in to watch them. So I think that's...
So who are some of the people at the Vanity Fair party this time? I saw a picture of Justin Bieber. I don't know if he was there.
No, he just tweeted supports. Yeah, he tweeted supports for Hailey Bieber, who was there. But then I saw social media people, again, like former Disney stars, actors on the kind of shows that you probably scroll past on Netflix. That's why I'm struggling to actually remember their names. I just see them randomly on thumbnails on Netflix, and they were all there. I'm used to just seeing the Naomi Campbells of the world show up, but it was them and everyone else. So I think, because I was having this conversation with a friend, I'm here in America, everyone I think around my age probably does not watch television, doesn't watch TV unless you're watching sports, right? Yeah.
But even despite that, in order to have watched it in America on ABC's channel, you needed to have a premium, a subscription with a TV program or whatever. Why do you think they haven't adapted to the new climate? Because they're missing out. Yes, sure, they're tapping into these TikTokers, YouTubers to get attention, but you're still asking us to go on television, which I don't know the last time I turned on my televisions.
I think.
Why do you think that is? Go on.
They're struggling to save network TV because the Oscars is affiliated with ABC. But I promise you, give them 2 years, because ABC is owned by Disney. Disney Plus streaming will be streaming the Oscars. Give them 2 to 5 years.
Right. So I wonder why it wasn't already, because it's interesting to me, because this is not, okay, I get that. But before we even get, because to me, this is not new. I don't think, apart from me actually attending the award and actually working it, that's the only time that I would think to watch the show. So why wouldn't they have adapted to the climate? Because I think my generation, or our generation, have stopped watching TV for 13 plus years at this rate, right?
Yeah.
So why haven't they adapted to the new climate? They wonder why they're losing ratings, but they're trying to force people to go back to something that's antiquated. Why aren't they broadcasting it on YouTube for everyone to see?
I think it might be like there's this very weird incestuous circle of trust where it's between advertisers, broadcast networks, and the actual content providers. So whether it was NBC, the Golden Globes, and who advertises them. Think about the Super Bowl, where the most expensive advertising packages are paid years in advance for this. It's a similar thing. Like the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences had to generate money. That money will come from who you sell your license to, and they make that money off who they advertise during that period. So as ratings will go down, they're thinking, oh, what are we going to do? But you still have, they block out a license for like 10 years or something. So that has to legally run down. And then you're going to get a situation where like Bob Iger was there with his wife. He's now always attends. He's going to think, if I'm at the helm of Disney, I've got to make this a viable thing. And I do believe that just like how we saw Netflix stream the Screen Actors Guild Awards, it's going to end up on Disney Plus. But they just have to.
I totally agree with that, and I understand that. Like, I know it's on ABC anyway.
It's illegal stuff that
requires you. But it's just because I wonder why. This is a conversation that has been had in the past, like literally like 10 plus years ago or so. That why hasn't these advertiser dollars? This is back then. Why when they know that everybody was on social media? Why wasn't the money on social media? But now obviously the money's on social media, right? In large scale, you look at someone like Mr. Beast that spends $2 million, $3 million per video that he releases every month, right? You know that the advertisement dollars, even to get a brand sponsorship in his video, you pay like over $1 million, or I think 1 or 2 million just to get an ad slot in one of his videos, because he knows that attention is the most valuable asset whatever it has. It's always been, right? He releases a video, he gets 100 or something million views. Is it a level of fear of competing with the current landscape, and knowing that, like, yes, they could put it on YouTube where they get the most attention, but they choose not to because, yes, I understand the licensing stuff, but even putting it on Disney Plus, you're still limiting your audience, right? That's still a paywall. But so where's the money really going to come? Because I'm not going to buy Disney Plus to watch the Oscars.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what they're trying. They're buying time trying to figure out. Because remember, the reason most people get a subscription is because it's SVOD. It's not AVOD. The minute you introduce advertising and become like a YouTube, you will begin to have problems. Which is what Netflix is finding out, where they're using their advertising supported platform. That's what people don't come to Netflix for that. But they need to have a version of that for it to be viable for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to say, we're leaving normal ABC to go to a streaming platform. Advertising is how they keep the lights on, but you can't go to a streaming platform that isn't supported by advertising. So you now have to have streaming services like Netflix is doing it now. And as usual, everybody sits back, waits for Netflix to make all the mistakes. Then they come in once they find the winning formula. That's what streaming
is. So the thing is, so here's the thing, because Hulu, I think the Oscars is also on Hulu. Disney owns, all of that. And at the same time, like on Hulu, you have the advertising. You pay less, but you have advertising, video on demand, but it's still a paywall. I think you pay, I can't remember what it is, like $5.99. Or you get the main Hulu where you have no advertising and it's $12. You said Netflix has implemented that now.
A version of Netflix, they're rolling it out this year, and it's already had people saying like, no, it's not working, but it's an optional thing you can use.
Well, yeah, but it makes it cheaper though. It makes it more affordable because I just think in a landscape where HBO is $1.99. Well, if you got the Black Friday special, which I'll never cancel, like, so it's $1.99. Like, so I'm just kind of like, where am I paying more for content? And when I know that, when I just think about attention, because we're still talking about a Netflix gets less than 1/10 of the viewership that YouTube gets. Like, you can't even compare where the attention is. But I understand why Disney wants to hold the control and the power. But I just wonder why there isn't this. It's just, to me, it's just very clear that these companies are not going to last the test of time unless they adapt. And it's been said, a lot of people have said this ages ago, that it's going to be the Apples, the Googles that are going to buy out the whole entertainment industry in the long run, right? So what I'm trying to understand is that if you know this thing is dying, there's a whole generation that you're losing out on, your market cap on, to buy into these Oscars. Because even the viewership that people are watching this, it's older people. It's older people. It's probably 30 and above. You're not capturing young people. You're not capturing people in their 20s. You're not capturing people. So you're going to lose out on a whole generation just because you want to get advertiser dollars now to tap into YouTube. To tap into, Disney Plus. What is that about? Why lose out?
What I always say is that you have to understand what the Oscars is about and what it's built on. It's basically the real, the really convoluted politics of show business. So even if the rest of the world evolves, what the Oscars is there to represent is that if you're in with us, your career is made in Hollywood. So all the people on YouTube that are booming on social media, they get to a stage in their career where they desperately want to be validated by the Oscars. That's if you're an actor.
But that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's just absolutely not true at all. Because when I really think about it, the only YouTuber that ever attempted to be an actor, right, on like big YouTuber, is Logan Paul. But when he saw that I could make pennies as an actor, or I could be a boxer and bring
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I kept.
Why would I do acting?
Precisely.
Why would I do acting?
That's why I said that word, that it's specifically acting. Because once you get into the field of acting, everyone recognizes the value of the Oscars.
So here's my
people, like I said, Logan Paul, they go somewhere else. But the minute you step into
Here's the thing. I have this idea. I have this belief that there are no real superstar actors anymore.
Oh no, yeah, no.
I think that social media has taken that space to make them sort of, unless you're on a TV show and there's like hype around you, and you kind of do both, like the Zendayas and the Tom Hollands, and you're able to, mix and match your presence. It's really right now for you to have relevance as just a plain old actor.
Okay, that's a key. That's a very good point you just made.
I
don't think it's taken the place of. It's just what's relevant today. Like I've always said, when Tom Cruise dies or retires, it's done. He's the last of that breed.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This is literally what I'm saying. Movie stars they're dying out.
But
that generation of the Will Smith, the Will Smith, all these people, it's not going to continue, because why would I? Because before we had the attention was on going to the movie theater, watching the whatever TV show. Now the attention is on TikTok. So why would I care about some nobody actor in some movie when I can go and see like this?
The point you made, you named somebody that's very important to this conversation, Zendaya. When you look at how she started to how she is now, she's one of the few people who's made the transition from being that kind of pop, I'm there on the internet and so on, to having Hollywood mystique. And that's because her parents were very smart about when they pulled her out of one and started steering her on the other. They used Dancing with the Stars to begin it. And then afterwards, it was like, dude, you're not doing that stuff anymore. We're now just going to make you an actress. And she listens to them and she gives credit to them the whole time, because they masterminded her, because they said that you could be a kind of star like a Demi Lovato or a Vanessa Hudgens, or we can put you on the path to being the next Meryl Streep, the next Halle Berry. That's why she's so clever, because she's done both. But they pulled her out at the right time and put her on the other path. So there will always be a space for that classic Hollywood mystery. Timothée Chalamet is exactly the same, where he used to be like this kid. He used to do he was in a boy band and blah, blah, blah. Then they pulled him out and said, do indie films, you speak French, you speak English, and then now you just act. Robert Pattinson said the same thing.
He did, but his era is so different. But I think for me, what I'm really trying to get out is, the number might be the same as it was in the past, but the relevance is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as like you can mention a Timothy, and like if you actually just look at it, you compare him to a Zendaya. The reason why there's hype around Zendaya is not from films; it's from her show Euphoria. Like, and yes, you could say she did Spider-Man, blah blah blah. All of this stuff helps, but the impact of television is so much more.
Oh yeah, no, but we so much talked about it.
There's so much more, right? But I think what I'm saying is like there's so much more devotion to this person's like brand when you're consistently seen on television. That said, that is not enough. Because I think about all the stars in Game of Thrones and how they were so hot.
Yeah.
Like just in 2019, you know, back then, now they're so irrelevant. No one cares, right?
Yeah.
So Zendaya has done a good job of diversifying.
Yeah.
And being in every single space. And she's definitely paving the way for this new generation to be in every single space. The question though is there room for a traditional actor? And if there isn't room for that traditional actor, what does that mean for the Oscars? Yeah. How are they going to maintain that? I thought it was very smart how they had Halle Bailey. Is it Halle Bailey? Haley. Is it Halle or Haley? Halle, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very smart that they showcased the Little Mermaid trailer by having just the Little Mermaid tapping into children's content.
Yeah, but that's Bob Iger.
It's a smart way. But it's a smart way to get people engaged because they showcase that at the Oscars, right? So you get children interested in, what is this Oscar thing, right?
Yeah.
I think it's smart. It's smart even having the Oscars on Disney Channel, on Disney's streaming platform, because again, you're capturing the attention of children. I understand all those things, but I guess my real question is having a paywall, is that really going to be lucrative for the award show?
It's coming. It's like, I think that's why what's Apple is doing with the Super Bowl, what Netflix are doing with live comedy specials, what Amazon is doing with sports, everyone's figuring it out. Because once they figure out the landscape of how do you make it profitable on a streaming platform to do live television, then everyone's going to start bidding for the awards shows. Because when you think in the landscape of TV, awards shows aren't box office. The key about them is the mystery of the stars coming. Well, that's why we circle back to who was invited this year. The clout of the Oscars is like, it's the most elite place to be in the world. That's what's always been about the Oscars. Like, that's the one place where I saw Warren Beatty. That's the part where I actually saw...
I wouldn't go that far, but I'll say, most elite place in the world, but most glamorous.
That's the thing. Right. Now it's changed, but that's what it began as. Like, you can't get in this room unless you are the top of the top. Then you have to now evolve with the times where now you're in a situation where a thug on YouTube is more famous than the biggest star in Hollywood. Charlize Theron said that.
Talking about...
I'm not going to say the name, but you know who I mean. But it's like Charlize Theron actually said there is more chance of Kim Kardashian getting a movie financed than me.
Oh, 100%.
So 100%. That's the world we're living in.
Why would we watch? I mean, okay, I love Charlize Theron and all that stuff. It's great, but of course,
but you have to navigate it because you can't. Again, I said that the Oscars will become obsolete and will have to become something like getting the Nobel Prize or the Medal of Freedom, where you cannot dilute what the Oscars is, otherwise it's destroyed. But you can't sell it the way you currently sell it because it doesn't work. Because the reason people respect the Oscars,
I think what I'm really trying to finish. Why do people respect the Oscars?
Yeah, why people like everyone. It always baffles me. Every young actor and so on. The minute they get into the acting game, that's zenith they want to shoot for, whoever they are, whatever generation. Because all those years, those 95 years, it's like Disney has had 100 years of building a brand. Academy has had 95 years of building the prestige of this brand. It's like a Rolex watch. My friend works for Rolex and she says that the business of it is so difficult, but it's a brand that you just say it, people feel a way about it. But the actual business is hell. So that's what the Oscars is. So you have to realize that what you bought is a brand that you can't afford to dilute. You just have to figure out a new place for it. But as long as it is what it is in the eyes of people, it will always be the Rolex watch. It will always be the Tiffany diamond.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be like a Pulitzer Prize. I don't think it's going to be that sort of like...
it's not going to have a ceremony that everybody's tuning in for. It's just something you want to achieve.
I think it will. So long as if they put it on Disney, I still think it will have its relevance. I just don't think that the attention is going to be there. Like honestly, most award shows, I don't know that it's happening until maybe someone starts posting it. The Shade Room starts posting it. Oh, I'm like, oh, the award. Like, I just actually forgot that the Oscars were taking place until you text me to do when you were on the red carpet. I forgot. Like, so, like, most award shows, I just feel like people are just not, it's not back, like, back in the day, we'd, watch the, VMAs, all these award shows. These days, you don't even know, like, when it's happening.
Like, it's one feeds the other. It's kind of like what Drake was saying about the Grammys, is that you better treat Black people well because you need us. The minute we stop going or telling our fans you're relevant, you're done. If Drake turns around and puts out an album and says that the Grammys are irrelevant, they will hemorrhage. So it's a question of
100%.
You have to have all those young stars with all their social media followings. As long as they get giddy, like Halle Berry was on the red carpet and was like, oh my God, and she saw Jamie Lee Curtis and she hugged her. She was like, as long as they feel that way about the Oscars, their fans will feel that way by proxy. The stars will make you relevant. So that's why the Oscars is like, okay, now we have to invite young people we think are peasants, but
they have
very
to.
Popular.
So here's the thing, right? It's like this girl that won last year. She was in what's that? West Side Story, the Black Latina lesbian. So I don't know if you saw the video of her with
Rihanna.
She was like, where she saw Morgan Freeman, and she was like, her reaction. I wonder if Disney paid her to do that. And I'm not like diluting like Morgan Freeman's impact and all that stuff, but it goes to what you're saying, that letting the younger generation see that this is a big deal. This is a, old Hollywood actor that we respect. This is how I feel about him. I think she's like 32. So it's teaching the younger generations, this is someone that's important, right?
Yeah.
But I just think right now they're not doing a very good job of passing the baton.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because you basically got old cronies who will hold on to it with their talons. But until you let go, it's going to fall apart.
And so one thing I want to say, though, in spite of that, we've been looking at the decline of cinema for the past 10 years, right? Every year it was declining 10%. But something magical happened, I see, like during COVID, where sort of like, it shut down. Nobody was going to the movie theaters. But all of a sudden, it comes back. 2021 was a little slow, but there were movies that did astronomical numbers. And now you're hearing about movies that are breaking boundaries. How do you think they were able to, get these numbers that are just even far more impactful than it was even pre-COVID? How did they bring that cult following to the movies back? And does this mean that like cinema is going to stay? Is it here to stay?
Cinema will always stay because as human beings, you're selling an experience. And even if you don't go as often, human beings will always love the experience of the darkened hall, the big screen, the popcorn. That's what you're selling. It's a package. But then it's two things. One, I believe superhero fatigue is setting in 100% because it's oversaturation, which is naturally what happens. It's oversaturation. And the next thing also is you get moments where somebody just uses a formula that's classic and it reminds people of why they love films, which is what happened with Top Gun Maverick. Tom Cruise knows the formula and he was like, sod this, I'm not making anything new. I'm going back to that. He ticked all the boxes. He brought Val Kilmer back. He tributed to Tony Scott. It was the same kind of music. Who's the equivalent of Berlin today? It's Lady Gaga. He followed the formula like textbook. And for the first time, you went to cinemas, 40-year-olds are in there, 50-year-olds are in there, 30-year-olds are in there, he got it right. And Steven Spielberg said to him at the awards luncheon, the Academy luncheon, that you saved us, you saved theatre this year. And now people realize, same thing as Todd Phillips' Joker. He said that he's been watching French Connection. He watched Mean Streets. It's based on those films. If you watch it, that is a remake, a modern remake of French Connection and Mean Streets. Those are the films he loved. So people will remember that, oh, okay, there is a way to do film that's cheaper, productions-wise, when you see everything everywhere all at once, Banshees of Inisherin, Joker, these were not expensive films. and then they go on to gross hundreds of millions. Joker grossed $1 billion. Studios would be like, right, if I get the right kind of director, it doesn't need to be expensive, so we're not losing money, so we don't need to make much money, and it stays in cinema for longer than the now post-COVID 45-day window, we're making money. Not everything is going to be like Spider-Man that just... the truth is, the reason why Spider-Man did so well is because Tom Holland started dating Zendaya. That's what pushed it over the boundary. It wasn't just the film. But the other films 100%. That have done it, that's what you need to do. Spend less, make more. And get great filmmakers to go back to the original formula, because they say everything works in cycles. We're coming to the pendulum swing of superhero fatigue. People will want to start watching real films again.
Right. And so let's talk about, Best Picture, also Best Actress. What's the movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie. Do you think it deserves this Oscar?
I think because it's so different, it deserves the recognition. When you see what else it's competing against, on the merit of filmmaking alone, the only thing that can really say I should get more attention is All Quiet on the Western Front. That film is exquisitely made. It's exquisite. But Banshees of Inisherin, okay. Elvis, okay. Again, I say that Everything Everywhere benefited from coming onto a competition landscape that wasn't that fierce. Had it come in The Irishman's year, nobody would be talking about it, because that year was chock-a-block. So, yeah, I think because it's so fresh, it's so different. It's an all-Asian cast doing something quirky. It's not a classic martial arts film. It's not a classic kind of kabuki theater film. It's so different. And that's why
my question is,
it deserves it.
It's an Asian American film, right? It's not like, so what do you think about that? This whole sort of like Asian takeover in Hollywood. And I think about, Fan Bingbing attending.
Yeah.
Was she in the movie? Was she?
No, she wasn't. She was just attending. It's kind of like how they brought Deepika Padukone to introduce RRR.
Okay, she introduced. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like for me, I just think about how, the Asian market or East Asian market is really making a footprint in Hollywood. We had Squid Games last year. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years
We had Squid Games, right? 2021 in the fall, right?
Yeah.
And we have this. I think there was another one a few years back.
Well, there's what is Drive My Car that did a big thing. Parasite as well. So
that's it. Parasite. That's what I was trying to remember. So what is it now? Is that there's this understanding that a lot of these Asian productions, sometimes, especially when they're shot in Asia, so much cheaper, but they still maintain the same quality. And I also think about there's proof that this audience always existed, because I used to watch these YouTubers make short films that were Asian American. So it's like clear that there's a big audience for the Asian American community. So what do you think that says about other cultures that are looking to make their footprints in Hollywood? I would say like African diaspora content, except all these other Latina content, etc. What do you think? Do you think there's a window, and what will we have to do to get it right?
One thing is that with the Asian thing, it's not an uprising because they've been around forever. The quality of Far Eastern cinema is beyond. Your Tarantinos, your Nolans, they've been watching that. That's what made them. So these people, they're the dons of this kind of filmmaking. The issue is what's happening now. It's like the globalization of the world. When the West is now beginning to understand, like the new generation, millennials and Gen Z, the boyfriend's Japanese, the girlfriend's black, the boyfriend's black, the girlfriend's Indian. That's the world you're looking at now. So you have to become worldly. So all they're doing is now embracing what's been bubbling around the surface. BTS has been around for decades. They're the biggest band in the world now because you just accepted that everyone's paying attention. Let's pay attention too. So for this stuff,
I think.
Yeah.
Go on.
So for this stuff, I think that what's happening is they realize to capitalize on markets that are so big benefits you financially and also on shelf life. So Bollywood is the biggest business and movies in the world, not Hollywood, not China, not
Absolutely.
Africa. It's Bollywood. So let's
Absolutely.
does you a favor, because all of India watched the Oscars now, because now you will do a broadcasting deal where the Oscars is not just viewed in America. You will do a deal with India, and you've got a billion.
So that's a massive question. Why haven't they let India in yet? Because the quality of movies exists.
Yeah.
You know, some Bollywood films are funny, comedic in their style, but they have that quality there. You know, as you said, why? So if they really want to maintain their relevance, why not open up? I think about Netflix, and that was their mentality to fight off sort of like the Disney, Hulu, everybody just taking their market share when they were coming up with their own streaming platforms. Netflix said, let's go international. Social media has made international like mandatory. Everybody watches videos from all over the world, right? So social media, I believe, is what opened up those doors, the internet, and forced people, because I watch a meme, a skit in Korea, and I see a movie, it's a Korean movie, let me watch the Korean movie. I see a skit in Nigeria, I see Afrobeats in Nigeria. So like, we can't deny this, but it's almost, to me, it's almost as though sort of like, and I would say white supremacy is trying to gatekeep and hold on to
100%.
And I'm like, but I'm kind of like, but like, if you really want to fix the ratings issue, open it up to the world. Like, it's that's a billion people.
It's trying to sustain my white supremacy, but also gatekeep control, because you realize, how do I open the door to a beast that I know is bigger than me? Who wants to do that? So how do I control how much I let in? They're trying to understand it, because also the situation you have is, I think that Parasites changed the game. It's kind of like what they say about, oh, you can't have a black female-led film, it won't make money. Girls Trip changed that. You can't have an Asian film, it won't make money. Crazy Rich Asians changed that. What they're realizing is that you have to understand that these people that you think are secondary to you aren't, but you need to let them in. They need to let them in a way they understand. But unfortunately, you have people at the top that don't speak a global language. That's why, in a weird way, they have to die out. Because
it's like, my thing,
Parasite changed everything, because you let a foreign film be nominated in normal categories. The reason that Bollywood didn't come before, you only restricted them to international film. So why would they waste their time?
Okay, so here's the thing, because like the way that you speak of the Oscars, to me, it reminds me of the royal family, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you could say that they work hand in hand, right? Maintaining white supremacy. And in some aspects, I see, why hasn't someone, and maybe this is a suggestion for someone watching, I don't know, but why hasn't someone said, let me do a global film award, fund it, broadcast it on YouTube, and make it prestigious just by, it's going to be an Arab that will do this, because you have to pay
the kind of money, because you have when it starts, you have
but
to
they have the money. The money is in Asia. So if you're watching from Asia, listen to me very clearly. You hire Beyonce to wow us with a performance. You hire everybody that's relevant. If you could play, what's his name? Ronaldo, almost 300 million, and you can pay.
You've answered it. It's money.
You can do it. Hire all these big names and make it a global film award. Introduce the Africans, the Asians, the Indians, so Asians, everybody, and Hollywood actors, and let's see what happens. Let's see if the Oscars, and I'm not trying to go against the Oscars, but I'm like, let's see what the Oscars are gonna do about
That's the key. It's like, the problem is that, you're battling somebody that an institution that has 95 years on you. That's like people trying to get in the ring with Disney. The simple point is, you need Middle East level money. Because for the beginning, you have to pay them to come. Celebrities won't just show up. You have to buy prestige.
Look, let me tell you something. You just pay Beyonce 26 million. How much? 22 million? I don't know. Maybe you pay her 100 million because it's this. You guys are paying Ronaldo. That's his career is over. You're paying him 200 million. They can do it.
But then you also then have politics. Look at all the backlash that Beyonce got because of doing it in the Middle East with their shady reputation. These are all the things that constantly
100%. Here's the thing. You're going to juggle it. Like, even now that watching the Oscars, there's always going to be bad press around it. there's no such thing as good bad press, right?
Yeah.
If people are talking about it, better for you. Now, because of people who are talking about that, we know everything about the hotel that hosted Beyonce. Like, people are talking about it, right? So it's not a bad thing that people are going to be upset, of course. And I wouldn't be surprised if like certain people might fund bots to push narratives, definitely 100%. But that's the first year, and you keep going, you keep doing it, right? But I just see, to me, there's no reason why we shouldn't have some sort of global prestigious
100%
award
there should be.
that includes the world, and there's enough room. If there's room for the Golden Globes, if there's room for the Screen Actors Award, there's room for the Global Film Award. That's all I'm saying.
No, 100%. I think like, because we can end on this point, is that I do agree that should exist, but it's almost like the World Music Awards at Monaco. It's had all the money and it's had all the backing and all the prestige, but people just it went on for years, but people just never felt about it the way they did about the Grammys. So that's what you have to navigate, is the politics of prestige.
I don't even think it's that difficult. I think there are a lot of times people just don't understand marketing the way like Hollywood understands it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
America.
Like, but
it's not. It's literally. It's not difficult. It's just
to actually do the events is listen.
No, I'm saying
Sultan of Brunei you just pay for it on his credit card.
I'm just saying. What I'm just saying is that it's not difficult if you put the right ingredients together. You just need to hire the expert that knows how to do it. The point is, in the way people operate in France, the way people operate in the Middle East, they don't know Hollywood. They don't know like American media. Media is the biggest tool that made America what it is today in the past 100 years.
And that's the point.
America was not a global superpower.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point. Like, you're actually making the fundamental point. The people who manage all of that stuff that you just said are the power brokers of Hollywood, and they're white, entitled, very, very wealthy,
and
powerful men.
Every last one of them can be bought
in
off.
Not letting the world overtake them. That's why you've got this weird thing. They said that they have to die out.
Well, the thing is, like, everybody has a price, is my point. Everybody has a price. Because they might be rich, he ain't got $1 billion.
Yeah, but there's no way, like, look at the fights with China. There's no way the heads of the big studios, your Universal, Warner, Disney, and Sony, are going to want a world to exist where Hollywood is not the center of the universe. And also because that's there. It's basically like saying, the royal family, you're irrelevant. I don't know what you're doing, but it's fundamental that we are the descendants of William the Conqueror. We must always sustain. It's that mentality. You can't change the mind and heart.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but the people you're speaking of, are they going to be alive in 20 years?
Yeah, that's why I said they need to die out and things will change. They just need to die out. Because while they exist, they have the power and their interests do not align with the rest of the world.
Before we go, I actually wanted to end off with Tems, Rihanna. What are your thoughts? Tems, representing Africa. What are your thoughts on her, attendance at the Oscars?
She looks stunning. And I'm so happy about that. She was a Ukrainian designer who should have given her a detachable hood, for Christ's sake. But it's a new designer. You learn, you make mistakes, and you evolve. And I love the fact that she showed up with her friends to make it and have the people who were with you in the beginning. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love the fact that from behind, she's become the most prestigious star of Nigeria. It was always Wizkid, Burna Boy, and Davido. I love that this young lady pushed through and is now more prestigious than any of them. The song itself.
I think the truth is that women get more attention and more prestige in the West, and in Nigeria they tend to suppress women. I think naturally a woman will get more prestige.
Based on the fetishization of black men, it is so much easier for black men in the West to get ahead. So why
isn't any black man standing next to Beyonce on that throne or Rihanna? Why are they not close?
But then think about the people behind Beyonce. Name one woman that is behind Beyonce as far as the business of Beyonce. There isn't one.
Well, that's a different conversation though. Her mother is behind her, but like that's a different conversation. And in terms of, because you can look at it like, oh, her dad is behind her, Jay-Z's behind her. They're not. If you like read the book Jet Fuel, and they talk about the relationship with an integrator and a visionary. Beyonce is the visionary. Jay-Z
No, but
is the
you're missing my point with the whole Beyonce thing. Beyonce exists and she is exceptional. But I'm saying that to make it, because there are so many white women have such this weird power of influence that when you are the object of desire of white women, life's going to be easier for you. It just is. Like I talk to my brothers about this the whole time and they go like, yeah, it's true. Because they're just things that, look, Black women will always struggle because you're a bone of contention for white women. But when you're an object of desire, life gets easier. What you can achieve.
I'm not really talking about the dynamics between women and different Black women, whatever. I'm just saying, I said women in general in the Hollywood get more eyeballs.
Oh yeah,
attention, more prestige than men. And so because of that, the reason I believe that Tems came in here and she broke through all of them is because people just pay attention to women more because women are more attractive.
We have to agree to disagree because I don't think in the world where I have seen George Clooney and Warren Beatty and Brad Pitt and the next 20 million men that will come along.
That's a completely different industry. That's a different industry.
No, but you said Hollywood women are desirable and they get more.
I want to talk about Hollywood. I mean the location, right? The location. It's really music, right? It's really music because we're really, at the end of the day, musicians get more attention than men. Than actors. At the end of the day, you can't even dispute that.
Oh yeah.
Right? Michael Jackson is bigger. Michael Jackson is bigger than any actor that you want to name. Tom Cruise, whatever. Michael Jackson's bigger, right?
Okay.
So what I just mean in terms of attention, a woman as a musician, call it that, is going to get more attention than a man. So I think just based off of that, even actors, look at Zendaya. Which black man is
I think, with music it's different because music, like there was actually a discussion about this. I think it was on The View or something. Music is Breakfast Club is so spectacularly sexualized. Men can't compete with women. They just can't.
That's my point, right? But I guess my point is that it was just obvious that she was going to break through. And I feel like in Nigeria, they kind of suppress women from doing that. And it's funny because the moment she comes and makes it here, she's bigger than all of them. Even though in Nigeria, they'll try and deny that she's bigger than them.
Well, based on the sexualization, I just say with the right marketing, if Aya Star gets the right song to cross over, she's coming. She's coming. She just needs that.
She's coming.
She needs her.
Yeah, she's coming.
Her Peru or whatever. She needs that song, and she's gone. Because she has.
She's coming. She has everything. She's coming. Yeah. Wait for it. Wait for it. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Well, I hope you like that. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. Again, like I said, take a moment, like, follow, subscribe. And before we go, make sure you check out my new app, Ray the AI. It's your on-the-go writing assistant powered by ChatGPT. She's an influencer. She's on social media. Check her out on Instagram. You can DM her right now on Instagram at RAETHEAI, Ray the AI. She's on Facebook. She's on WhatsApp. You can DM her and get some work done. You know, she's your personal assistant. She'll do stuff for you, or personal writing assistant. Go check her out and let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.